So good morning, you guys. I want to review the AEW Wrestle Dream card. I know I did a video a few days ago, so they updated the card. So I want to review all the matches and tell you what I think about it. Because I'm actually going to go down there. So I'm going to give you my prediction. That I'm also going to tell you if I want to see this match or not. If it's a good card or a bad card. The first thing that I want to say, it's way better than last year because last year's card felt like a New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door 2 card, and that's not good. You should have a Forbidden Door once a year, but you shouldn't have like a card with just like wrestlers from another company that most people don't know about, especially since they wouldn't have had any time for a build or anything like that. So I like how this card is featuring all AEW wrestlers. They've all have a bit of story and a bit of just television time, so you're not like, who the hell is this versus who the hell is that, really, type of thing, really. So I'm going to go through the card right now. First of all, Adam Page versus Jay White. I definitely want to see this match, but it's also a detrimental match because Adam Page can't afford to lose because of the momentum that he has from Swerve Strickland. Jay White can't afford to lose because he just came back, and didn't he lose to the one-legged MJF last year? So you have to kind of do something with Jay White. So I think my prediction would be that they would give it to Adam Page. They would have Adam Page win this. And I think that at Full Gear, he needs to challenge for the AEW Championship. Either he wins or loses. I do think that that's where we should be going. With Jay White, I do think that, he should be winning the Continental Classic tournament because you have that tournament every single year. And, it's time for him to get a big victory and make sure that he's like a really big deal or something like that. So I think I was going to say Takeshita, but that's not appropriate for Takeshita right now. But you have to do something where Jay White wins something big and you actually do something with him. You don't do something like, like have him lose all the time, really. If they really do that with him, he needs to, just either sit at home and be like, you're not booking me as a loser, or you're going to actually just, when my contract's done, I'm going to WWE because they'll know how to figure me out, really, So it's a lose-lose match, but I do predict that Adam Page is going to win, and I hope that they do something with Jay White. This is a NJPW champion. This is a NJPW Grand Slam champion. You got to treat him like a big deal, and if you don't, then he shouldn't be with the company anymore because that's just going to hurt his reputation. Speaking of which, you have Brian Cage versus Atlantis Jr. for the World Television Championship. I am not looking forward to this match because, as we all know, Brian Cage loses too much. I'll be surprised if he actually wins this because we also know that Tony Khan has a hard-on for luchadors because he do all the flips and everything like that. So I think that what I would hope is that I would hope Brian Cage would win this and he wins this clean. You don't have the Gates of Agony interfering with this. But I think that they're going to have Atlantis Jr. win for two reasons. I think that because, as I said, Tony Khan is a fan of the luchadors, and you can get to Atlantis Jr. versus Hologram down the line, because that would be an epic match with similar luchador styles. The other issue is that we know Brian Cage loses a lot, but the other problem is that if you have Brian Cage win, then you just had Hologram get beaten down by a bunch of luchadors, and you have a luchador being beaten down by a heel faction with Hologram, with what you did with Mortos, Draglistico, and Rouge, and Jake the Snake Roberts. You had that on television, so you can't have Lance Jr. be beaten down by the Cage of Agony because it feels too repetitive, really. So I think that what they're going to do is they're going to have Lance Jr. win this one. Brian Cage gets another loss, but as I said, Brian Cage really needs to go back to TNA Wrestling because, he needs to go WWE because, he's really wasted potential. You can't have somebody who's a big beefcake always losing, that's just not good. The next match is Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. I would love to see this match. I definitely think that, Mark Briscoe and Chris Jericho, they have good mic skills. I would hope this would lead to a rematch at Full Gear or even at a ROH pay-per-view. But because I really want to see Mark Briscoe on the microphone. I really want Chris Jericho to win this one, and I predict that he's going to win this one because Mark Briscoe has done nothing with that title outside of having matches and holding the title. And I think that the problem with this is that Once again, Mark Briscoe needs to be graduated to AEW. He needs to go after the AEW TNT Championship, the AEW World Championship, and a couple of other titles, or maybe even the Continental Classic. He has a voice of an angel. And also, Mark Briscoe is very charismatic, really, on the microphone. He needs to be speaking in the rings. He needs to be speaking to the crowd. He needs to incorporate that, that Southern rambling style. Like he's like a redneck Scott Steiner, really. They need to utilize that. And I think if he sticks with the ROH championship, the problem with that is that's going to make him a little too comfortable being at the ROH championship. It's not going to give him, a bit of, let's take that away from you and let's graduate you to something that's going to challenge you a lot more. And that's what we need out of Mark Briscoe. He can be the AEW champion. He can be someone that draws a lot of merch. But they kind of keep him in limbo a little too much. He needs to get out of ROH. He needs to say, no, motherfucker, you don't put me in a backstage video. You have me go out and speak to the ring with whoever I'm feuding with because I'm Mark Briscoe and I have that. If not, I'm going to take my ass to WWE because I know Cody's going to put me in a good spot, really. Because could you imagine Mark Briscoe in WWE? He would do a hell of a job there because he has the dialogue and the charisma. And he also has a very distinct look, really. So it's almost like if AEW can't utilize him to his full potential, pack your bags to WWE because he'll be a megastar over there. The next match is Darby Allin versus Brody King. This is another lose-lose type of match, really, but I'm excited to see it. The reason why it's lose-lose is because you have Brody King, a big guy who is over 6 feet tall, over 300 pounds. Darby Allin is not 6 feet tall. He probably weighs less than 200 pounds. Maybe weighs less than 175 pounds. And he looks like, a high school kid who has a summer job at Hot Topic, really. So you're going to watch a match where more than likely, and I predict Darby Allin's going to win, he's going to defeat a big, beefy, round wrestler, really. And that's not good. It's almost like watching, imagine if you had Austin Theory beat Samoa Joe. It's just not a good look, really. So you're going to see like what we see in AEW. Smaller, more charismatic wrestler beats the bigger guy. If they have Brody King win this, I'll be very, very happy. But it is a lose-lose match because, we need to make Brody King a bigger deal. But also, I'm a little confused with the House of Black. Are they going after trios titles or are they trying to make them single stars? So it's a little confusing how they're booking them. But I look forward to this match. Darby Allin does a lot of off-the-wall shit. Brody King is a big, bad motherfucker. I would love to see this match. So out of the first 4 matches, I want to see at least 3 of them. I don't care for Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage, but it would be cool to see a luchador. But 3 of the matches, I'm actually happy for. So the next couple of matches, Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata. I don't care about Katsuyori Shibata. I don't like this thing where he's doing the voice to text, Japanese to English voice to text. It's a little too silly, a little too goofy. Does anybody think that Katsuyori Shibata is going to beat Jack Perry? It would be really stupid for them to do something like that. I would rather see Jack Perry win and then you have him beat down Katsuyori Shibata and then Adam Copeland comes back and then it's Adam Copeland versus Jack Perry at Full Gear. That's what I would do. Katsuyori Shibata, he could be in a tag team with Orange Cassidy or him, or you do Shibata, Orange Cassidy, and Mark Briscoe go after the trios titles, or the 6-man titles, either of those titles. That would be the best option, really. But 100%, Jack Perry should be winning this 100%. I predict that they're going to do that. It would be really stupid to put on Katsuyori Shibata, especially a guy who doesn't speak any English. And if you have to do the voice to text on the microphone, other things with the TNT title, that's going to look very, very stupid. So I'm a fan of Jack Perry's work. That's why I want to see the match. So I'm happy to see Jack Perry perform. Katsuyori Shibata, as I said, he's just a Japanese wrestler most people don't know about, So it's Jack Perry's enough for me to want to watch this match, but Katsuyori Shibata is not the right opponent for him. I would rather have Jack Perry versus Orange Cassidy if he really wanted to make some money. The next match is probably going to be the match of the night and the most controversial match. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita. This is the match that I really want to see. This is actually my match tonight. This is the match that I want to see. It's controversial because a lot of people say that, okay, this could be a bunch of gymnastics bullshit. Another thing that could happen is I did fantasy booking. What I would do in this match is I would actually have Ricochet and Takeshita beat Will Ospreay, beat his ass really hard, handcuff him, because this is a triple threat match. Disqualification is allowed, so you can have Don Callis and everybody beat down Will Ospreay, and then they actually put Ospreay in the middle of the ring, and then you have either Ricochet beat him or Takeshita beat him. But I think that you should have Ricochet beat Ospreay if you go down that direction, and you make Ricochet part of the Don Callis family. That would be a really good turn. And then the other thing that you do is you actually ruin a match that people want to see. Like, they're not going to see all the flips and everything like that. They're going to see a beat down, and they're going to see Ricochet join the Don Callis family. So then that way you get Will Ospreay versus Ricochet at All In next year. That would be the right direction. That's how I would book it. Because could you imagine the heel heat on the Don Callis family on Ricochet and Takeshita? But I don't think they'll go down that direction. I think that you're going to see this be a Dave Meltzer 20-minute, 30-minute, tour de force type of match. And some people will call it gymnastics. And I think that my 100%, I'm going to say that Takeshita is going to win. I think what AEW is doing is they're going to make Ricochet and Will Ospreay baby faces, and the Don Callis family the bad guys. So then you can have Will Ospreay and Ricochet join forces against the Don Callis family. And that could be good for Ricochet, because Ricochet sucks on the microphone. He sounds like Mike Tyson. But I think that's what they're going to do. You're going to have a triple threat match. Eventually, you're going to have Takeshita get the advantage, because you can have interference. This is no disqualification. And he's going to regain the title. My idea of Ricochet and Takeshita joining forces, both becoming members of the Don Callis family and attacking Will Ospreay and ruining the match and getting a lot of boos and heel heat. That's what I think they should do, because that's going to make Don Callis family like the top heels in the company, even though you have the Moxley faction. But that's what I would do. I think that'd be better. But my prediction is they're going to have Takeshita win this one, because it makes no sense for Will Ospreay to hold the title and beat the Don Callis family right now, because then you hurt their momentum. And since you have the Don Callis family have Lance Archer, you don't want to do something where they're becoming like a jobber faction. You got to give them a title, and you got to have them be dastardly with it, So that's what I would do, So I think that they're smart enough to understand that Takeshita has to hold the title. My other idea is way better, but Takeshita is going to hold the title. It's going to be like a 20, 30-minute Dave Meltzer match. The next match is Young Bucks versus the Private Party. I look forward to this match. The Private Party has been stepping up their game. This is a really great match, because obviously people want to see the titles off of the Young Bucks, because they've been holding titles for a very long time. They've not really been defending it. They can turn that into heel heat. And I think that the best thing for business and what's going to happen is that the Young Bucks are going to win. They should cheat to win. And then you do something where you have Private Party and the Outrunners, just compete with each other, like who's going to face them again. Then you have the Outrunners face the Young Bucks at Full Gear. Then you do something that maybe at World's End you have a triple threat between the Young Bucks, Private Party, and the Outrunners. And then you can give it to Private Party or the Outrunners. But I would say that you have to give the Private Party first, because they've been there longer. The Outrunners, you can turn the Private Party heel and then or something like that. But I do think that for future booking, I would definitely have Private Party lose this and then eventually get the titles, a couple months down the line, really, just to kind of make a hero's journey, have that little bit of that Dusty Rhodes finish, baby, where, you have the good guys lose, baby, and you kind of like make the fan love the good guys more, because they have to work a little bit harder for the title, baby. That Dusty Rhodes type of finish for Private Party, baby, is the way they should be going, baby. I think having the Young Bucks lose right now to Private Party would be a little too anticlimactic, and Private Party loses a lot, so it wouldn't be good. They just have to have maybe like another, as I said, World's End should be the time that you switch the titles to either the Outrunners or Private Party. But I would say that you can create something out of this and have Private Party actually have a bunch of wins, and then challenge again at Full Gear in like a ladders match, or challenge again at World's End for the titles. Or you can even do something like do the WWE thing. Have them have a match here, then have like a ladder match at Full Gear, and then have like a final blow-off match at World's End, maybe in a steel cage type of thing. Like how WWE does a bunch of matches over and over with different stipulations. That could be really good. So I don't think Private Party's going to win here, but I'm giving you some ideas on what should happen. But I really want to see this match because I'm really behind Private Party because they are definitely stepping it up. They definitely want to be they want a validation. They want to be treated like a big deal, and I respect them for that. They're not just being there to be there, So like, if they lose, they should kind of flip out and go through a bunch of opponents and have that, we want to win this type of thing. We want to get it right the next time. That would be the best thing. Don't just try and turn them into, it doesn't matter anymore. And then the next thing that I'm going to say is the next match on the card is Mariah May versus Will Nightingale. 100%. I want to see this match. Will Nightingale's been doing a great job, but Will Nightingale within the next 365 days, she's to be the women's champion. I would even give her the women's championship at All In because she's been doing a hell of a job for the company. And they've not had I know some people are going to not like me saying this, but they've not had a black woman hold the women's AEW championship. Like that's been like the TBS title and the ROH title. So the women's championship has been just a whites only and a Japanese only person's title. But like presentation is always important. Now, I'm not saying it's a race thing, but it may be like, why isn't she winning this? But it could come off like that. I know some people may pull that card, but I do think that Will Nightingale's put in a lot of great work, and eventually she needs to be the AEW Women's Champion. I would pull that card at All In next year. Mariah May should win this, and then you should get to Mariah May versus Jamie Hayter because people want to see that match. Then you can do something where Will Nightingale turns heel, or you can do Jamie Hayter loses, and then eventually get Mariah May versus Toni Storm in Australia. That's what they should be doing. And then you should be doing Mariah May, maybe Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm and Will Nightingale in a fatal four-way type of match at All In 2024 and have Will Nightingale win that one. Because you have to make Will Nightingale the women's champion. She's put in a lot of great work. That needs to be rewarded. But I don't think this is the right time to do it because you can build to something bigger and greater. I think she should be champion at All In. That would be the best moment to solidify her. The next match is MXM versus The Acclaimed. This is actually a match that I'm a little. It's one of these matches that's a lose-lose. The problem is a couple of things. Max Caster has not been doing the rap. He needs to be doing the rap because that's always really great. He needs to take it to the next level. He needs to be edgy and controversial. More than likely, he's not going to do that, or you're going to have MXM actually just fuck up his rap. Because they've been doing that a lot, but we need to add him. We need the Max Caster who does the controversial raps, because if you want the Acclaim to be relevant, you need to do that. But the other thing too with the MXM is that it's a bad match because MXM is losing a lot, and you can't have MXM lose this because I think you need to kind of give them a bit of a momentum, really. But I really think that the way that Tony Khan books things, he's going to give the victory to the Acclaim. But the MXM needs to win this match because you can't have a new team come in and lose. And they also have a very like these evil fashion models type of thing, these evil fashion people type of thing. You have to really, that's such a distinct character. You really have to build upon that character. And I really, really don't want to see them do something where they're burying MXM. And it seems like they're going in that direction, really, So, like Grizzled Young Veterans, they've lost. You can't have new people debut and then lose too much. So, I really think you need to put MXM on a good momentum, have them beat the Acclaim. It's not going to hurt the Acclaimed. I think the Acclaim should turn heel and fight with Private Party and fight with the Outrunners and be a heel group again. I think that's where they should win, and that's where they should go and have MXM. Get a victory, and then you kind of create maybe a roadblock for both the Outrunners and also FTR, and then also Private Party. A bunch of heel teams to overcome as you give either Private Party or the Outrunners the tag team titles, a tag team title shot in the next couple of pay-per-views. So that's what I hope for. I predict the Acclaim's going to win, but you get a lot more mileage out of MXM winning. The next match is Hologram versus the Beast Mortos 2 out of 3 falls match. this is going to be another match that's that 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 it's very hard to make a call in this match. And AEW does stupid things, really. I think that they're going to have a hard on for Hologram. They like Hologram a lot. So I think Tony Khan is going to make Hologram win this. 100%, if you're going to do this match, Mordos needs to get 2 pinfalls on Hologram. That's what they need to do with this. This can't be a flippy luchador Dave Meltzer type of match. This has to be Mortos dominating and beating the crap out of Hologram. And then Hologram builds himself up. He goes through all 3 opponents. Maybe he has like a luchador faction. He goes after, you put the trios titles on the line, or you have him actually go after a title. And then he says like, okay, we're going to do Hologram versus Mortos for, maybe the ROH World TV Championship, since you have a luchador hold that, or another title. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to be stupid and have Hologram win. And then the reason why I say it's stupid is Mortos is a big body person. And, he has a very intimidating look, that demon bull mask that he wears. And he's part of a faction now with Draglistico and Rouge. And then also you have in that faction led by Jake the Snake Roberts. 100% Mortos is going to win this match. No, 1% Mortos should win this match. But I think they're going to do something really, really stupid, and they're going to have Hologram win, because I know how Tony Khan books things. So I'm betting on Hologram, but Mortos, his ass needs to win this one. But I don't think they're going to do that. Last match is Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley's going to win this one 100%. I'm very excited to see this match. And I want to go over the matches one more time. I'm excited for Bryan Danielson versus Moxley. I'm excited for Hologram versus Mordos. I'm excited for MXM versus The Acclaim, Mariah May versus Will Nightingale, Young Bucks versus Private Party, Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Takashita, Jack Perry, Katsuyori Shibata, Darby Allin, Brody King. I think the only match, Briscoe, Jericho, Adam Page, Jay White, the only match that I'm not really looking forward to is Lannis Jr. versus Brian Cage, because we know that Brian Cage loses a lot. It's nothing special. You're going to see, a luchador do a couple of flips on him. If you have Brian Cage win that, I would be very happy for him. But yeah, I definitely want to see Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. This is going to be a very controversial match as well, because there's 2 things that are going to happen. They've done a very, 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 very poor job of the retirement angle, because the retirement angle is if Bryan Danielson loses one more match, he's going to retire from AEW. And even though I didn't watch the ending of Title Tuesday, I don't think he reiterated that. And then he may say something like, I'm retiring, but I'll be a part-timer. So that makes no sense, really, because retiring means you don't wrestle anymore. It doesn't mean that you become a part-timer and have a couple matches a year, because that feels like a swerve almost. But I really think that Jon Moxley's going to win. And then Bryan Danielson's going to say later on, you know what, Jon Moxley beat me like a punk bitch. I'm not going to retire to a punk bitch. But Jon Moxley needs to win this, and he should win this match for a couple of reasons. He's doing the Moxley faction. More than likely, it's for Shane McMahon to come into the company. You can't do something like have Moxley be this really big faction, and then he loses, because it's like, where do you go from there? Where is the story? And if you want to do Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley, I think that has a lot more mileage, and that's a way better match than Bryan Danielson versus Darby Allin. Darby versus Moxley is going to be a great match. They're both hardcore wrestlers. They're both intense, blood, sweat, and tears type of wrestlers. That's where they need to be going. That's going to sell tickets. Bryan Danielson versus Darby Allin is not going to be a good match, because you have the hardcore wrestler versus the technical wrestler. So, and if you put Bryan Danielson in a hardcore match, that's not good for him. Unless you do something like have him and Jon Moxley in a hardcore type of match. You'd have to have a really great story to do that. You can't just have it just because, Darby Allin is in. You have to put a story within it. Moxley versus Bryan Danielson can be a hardcore match, but I would do a rematch at Full Gear. That's what I would do if you want to have a hardcore stipulation. But with my talks about future planning, I think that, Moxley beating Bryan Danielson and then Moxley versus Darby Allin, that's where I think they're going to go, really, because that makes a lot more sense, and you can have a hardcore or crazy type of match to do that. But I do think that, as I said, Bryan Danielson versus Darby Allin is not going to have the same type of appeal to it. So I think Moxley needs to win this. He's also a faction, and what we learned in AEW is that factions need to win. Factions need to have major victories. Factions need to take over the company. Factions need to do all these crazy things, really. And if you don't do that, then it's just like a waste of time, really. So I really do hope, and I think the right thing for business 100% is Moxley needs to win this one. I predict that he's going to win this one because if you don't do it, then what the fuck are you going to be doing with the Moxley faction? They need a major victory. They need to solidify them with titles, and I think that Tony Khan's not dumb enough to do it. I do think that once again, when you look at this match card, it could run into issues where Tony Khan will book how he wants to book. Really, like certain people are going to win when they shouldn't be winning. I hope Adam Page. I predict Adam Page. I predict Atlantis Jr. I predict Chris Jericho. I predict Darby Allin. I predict Jack Perry. I predict Takashita. I predict Young Bucks. I predict Mariah May. I predict The Acclaim. I predict Hologram. I predict Jon Moxley. But he could easily do something like say, no, we're going to have Bryan Danielson win when he shouldn't. We should have Will Ospreay win when he shouldn't. We should have Darby Allin win when he shouldn't. We should have Lance Jr. win when he shouldn't. We should have Mark Briscoe win when he shouldn't. So, it's also like, and we should have Hologram win when he shouldn't really, So there's also like a sense of knowing that they may just have they may book it poorly where they want certain people to win when they shouldn't be winning, So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with this. But I really just hope that they have some really good outcomes to all of this. They're going to have Swerve on the show, so you may see Swerve and Bobby Lashley appear, and that'll be really, really interesting. You see Shane McMahon appear as well, really. So there's a lot of just really cool things to look forward to. They just have to book the card strongly. This is an 11-match card. If they want more matches, make some of these matches preliminary. And then also, too, I would want the show to be like at least 3 hours maximum. 3 to 3.5 hours. Don't do something like you have 14 matches like you did last year. Way better than last year's card. I definitely want to see this show. This is way better than what they had last year. Everybody on this card has had a bit of story, so it doesn't feel like you're putting two wrestlers together with no story, So it's a really great card. I think this is one of the best cards that they have. My only issue is that they should not have more matches on this card, unless you add like 2 or 3 preliminary matches. So I'm excited to see what happens with this card, and I'm excited to be flying from Wyoming all the way to Seattle tomorrow morning, because in case there's an issue, really, I want to fly at least 24 hours before the show, really. So I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm very happy for this, and we'll see what happens at Wrestle Dream tomorrow, bitches. Wrestle Dream on Saturday, bitches.